So I worked in a couple different stores at McDonald's when I was a kid, ripe old age of 16 years old. Again, the first product I worked on for a job. And you walk in the door, and again, you don't go in thinking, I'm going to teach McDonald's how to make French fries. First thing you have to do is learn how to make the perfect French fry. They put you through videos. They put you through training. They don't just unleash you on the fryer and say, go make the French fries. Could you imagine how stressful that would be? Like you just walk in and make the French fries, make them perfect, go. And you're like, well, this is McDonald's. Like, how am I going to make? Anyway, so they teach you, and it's like a long process. You have to first like intern with the fryer. You got to stand next to another person making the French fries. Like you push the button, you take them out, you shake them exactly the right amount of times. You put them into the little container so they look perfect. You salt them exactly 2 shakes of the salter. Like it's a process, and you have to follow the process. You have to follow that extreme amount of structure in order to get that kind of a product every single time as perfect as it's supposed to be. Does this make sense? All right. Now, if that's the case, then you might think, well, we just need predictable. We don't need any creativity here, yeah? So let's think about the 2 different stores. So the first store I worked in was one of the lowest performing stores in the region that I worked in. And we had a leader in that store who would never come out of his office. You ever been in that kind of an environment? He was like the kind of leader that would only come out when things were going wrong, and he beat everybody up, and soul-crushing job. It's like I hated it. Now I went to a second store. Still, by the way, both stores made great French fries because we had the perfection thing down. And this leader in the second store would come out of the office, and she would always be engaged with us and showing us kind of where we could put our creativity. And this is the key thing I want you to remember. In product especially, there's some things, there's guardrails, right? So you have to be able to exist within the context of real guardrails in any given environment. Like you have to make, your product has to make a profit, or you're not going to be, it has to contribute in some way to the profit of the organization, or you're not going to be around for very long. There's certain rules that you have to follow. There's certain restrictions that you have. You may be given some parameters from your architecture team that you have to use these certain tools. Like you have to work within these guardrails in order to produce the best product. But there's always a place for creativity. So I'm going to challenge, so they asked me to produce this talk on perfection versus possible, which I love. One of the things I love about LTP and the crew here is the amount of thoughtfulness they put into these conferences and the way in which they theme it. And there's a very iterative process, by the way, going back and forth about my talk and my slides and what we're going to be talking about to make sure that it matches the theme. Respect, for sure.